Trooper, you still there?
Yeah, I'm back, Your Honor. I lost
the
the
whole
signal.
thing just shut right down on me. I don't know what happened. It just said meeting ended, so I rebooted. I have no idea. Okay, and the last thing I heard from you was it was 65 in a toll plaza. Posted speed limit was 25, and that's the last I heard when we shut down.
I didn't pace clock the vehicle for a quarter of a mile at 65 miles an hour. Conducted a traffic stop. Identified the driver by his Florida driver's license. He was very. He said, "I'm sorry." He was very apologetic. The weather was clear. So based upon that, Your Honor, if he does have a good record, I'll ask the court to withhold on this one.
Todd?
Yes, afternoon, Trooper. Do you recall in your observations or the conduct of this traffic stop, whether there was anybody in a toll plaza, any worker in the toll plaza?
In fact, there was 2 lanes, I believe, were still open. He was going through the Sun Pass.
Okay. No other questions. Thank you, Trooper.
So because he was so cooperative, that's why I'm asking the court to withhold, if he has that good record.
Your Honor, I'm showing it's been some time since a couple of years since the last infraction, if my record's correct.
What I'm showing is he hasn't had an infraction in over 3 years.
I think I'm next.
Sure.
So I'll ask the court to withhold, Your Honor, if it's possible.
Okay, so thank you, Trooper. I appreciate it. It would be a $250 fine plus court costs. Court will withhold based on the testimony of the officer and his suggestions to the court, and also his driving record. Thank you. And so that's the last case that you have, Trooper. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. All right. The next case that I am going to call is, let's see, it's Frederick Muller, 20 TR 10603. Officer Lopez. Is Mr. Muller in the room, or Officer Lopez? Either? I can't hear you. Is either Frederick Muller in the room, or Officer Pedro Lopez, or both, or neither? Oh, there comes Mr. Muller.
Mr.
Muller.
Here. Yes.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's Corporal Lopez.
All right, thank you, Corporal Lopez. And I think I just saw Mr. Muller enter into the room. So is Frederick Muller in the room?
Yes, I am.
All right, Mr. Muller.
My computer just knocked me out about 5 minutes ago, and I just got back.
Okay, sir, it's your opportunity to have a hearing. Would you like to have a hearing, sir?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to have both you and the trooper sworn in. Do you both swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
All right, thank you. Officer, can you please tell the court why it is that you cited Mr. Muller for failing to move over for an emergency vehicle and the facts and circumstances surrounding that citation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. If you let me, I brought witness. It's my fellow partner. He was the one that witnessed all the traffic infraction. I just issued a citation based on his request. It's here in the court, so you can let him explain to you what happened. It will be better.
Thank you. Who is it? What officer is it?
It's a Sergeant
Sergeant Allen.
Sergeant Allen. Thank you, Sergeant Allen. I need to have you sworn as well. You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Sergeant Allen? Did we lose Sergeant Allen? Did we lose him? Boy, am I ready for you guys to come back. Sergeant Allen, you there? Yes, there you are. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, sir.
I do. Having problems.
Yeah, I can tell. It looks like you're muted, and it looks like you might be frozen. I can't hear you at all. Sergeant Allen, do you have a way to call in? If you do, I would ask you to call my judicial assistant, Jen, at 252-4262, and she can patch you through to the courtroom because I can't hear you at all.
Your Honor, can you hear me now?
Oh my God, yes, thank you. There you are. All right, sir, would you please tell the court the facts and circumstances surrounding the citation for Mr. Mueller, please? And is it, am I saying your name correctly, sir? Is it Mueller?
Mueller.
Mueller, I'm so sorry, Mr.
That's
Mueller.
all right, just like it's spaghetti.
I knew a guy when I was in high school spelled the same last name and he pronounced his Mueller. So my apologies. All right, Sergeant Allen, we're ready for you.
Yes, on, I believe the date in April, we were working a very bad vehicle crash in the area of Tamiami Trail East and Riggs Road. That's a 2-lane road with a unprotected concrete median. And while working the crash, vehicle did not slow down to more than 20 miles an hour under the speed limit as required by law. I announced on the radio that if there was a deputy in the area, if they could stop the vehicle and speak to the driver and issue a citation for the failure to move over, because there were multiple vehicles at the crash scene, multiple deputies at the crash scene. There was debris on the roadway. Corporal Lopez was in the area and responded. I told him which vehicle, the SUV, to pull over. He pulled the vehicle over on my request, and he can speak to the actual traffic.
And Sergeant, were you able to confirm that the vehicle that was actually pulled over was in fact the vehicle that you had seen that was speeding? Sergeant Allen? I lost him again.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
I said, were you able to confirm that the vehicle that was pulled over by Officer Lopez was in fact Mr. Mueller, that his vehicle and he was in fact the vehicle that was speeding that you saw visually?
Yes, I never lost sight of the accident location of the crash was US 41 in Riggs Road. The traffic stop was at Lake Park and Tamiami Trail. And while I don't have the distances in front of me, it's probably maybe 100 yards, 105. I never lost sight of the vehicle, and Corporal Lopez did pull over the vehicle that I had identified. Obviously, I did not know who was driving the vehicle at the time.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't lose sight of the vehicle and, you know, it didn't go, you know, travel miles away from you and then get pulled over by another officer. That's what I was trying to flesh out here by asking you that question. Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Mueller, this is your opportunity to tell me your side of the story, sir. What happened?
Okay. I was driving west on 41 and there was an accident and there was a traffic problem on the north side of the road. There were flashing lights, colored lights. There was a patrol car on the side facing the eastbound traffic with high beams on. So your vision was complicated by the high beams for those lights. I was driving along. I had slowed to under 30 miles an hour. It was a better than a 45-mile-an-hour zone. I don't remember what the speed limit was, but I was slowing down. As I slowed down, I was moving to the left hand of the 2 lanes, and I was even hugging the center lane, so I was as far from the turmoil as I could. Just before I got to that area, there was a black pickup truck. He passed me on the right and went through that area. I was following him and I was going through. Someone yelled, "Slow down," and he was facing east. I thought he was describing slow down to the black truck, and the black truck was going like a bat out of H in front of me. I looked down at the same time and I saw my speedometer was below 30, was 25 or 27 miles an hour. So I kept proceeding. I never, after I left the scene, I never speeded up to at least 40 miles an hour because I saw someone else when the first officer yelled. He was facing west, and there was another patrolman there, was seemed to be Officer Lopez, after he identified himself and pulled me over, and he had his back to the traffic. So he pulled me over, and we got into a discussion. He said, you heard, let me see my notes. I actually made a lot of notes when I came home. Oh boy. Lopez described the other officer, other than the one that just reported to you. And I lost his name from my notes, but so I was convinced that the officer that yelled "slow down" was looking at the black truck that was in front of me, and I was going less than 30 miles an hour through the area, and I was hugging the center lane as much as I could. After I went through the area, I moved back to the right-hand lane and kept going slowly, probably about 40 miles an hour. And then Lopez came and stopped me. And he came up to the car, and he shouted at me. He said, "Do you know why I'm stopping you?" And I said, "No." He said, "You were speeding through the scene." And I said, "I heard somebody call." And he says, "Yes, Reno shouted at you that you're going too fast." I responded that he was warning the black truck, and asked why he didn't chase after the black truck. He says, Lopez said there was only him available, and he was the only patrol car that would be chasing people. Meanwhile, he's standing by the B pillar of my car screaming back at me, and I'm trying to talk to him in a rational tone, and he's covering my cheeks and nose with spit from his conversation. So I just waited it out. He took his time, handed me the ticket. And again, when he handed me the ticket, he's so unpleasant with his conversation. I was just so irritated. I came home that night. I drafted a series of notes so I could recall accurately what happened there. And that's all I have to say. I don't feel I was ticketed properly. I feel that I was under 30 miles an hour, probably under 25 miles an hour. And I was very respectful of the officers, and I did my best in the situation. The ticket was cited for violation of right-of-way. Well, I moved as far out of the right-of-way as possible. And I think after the truck passed me on the right, I was on the line between the 4 lanes of traffic, the eastbound and westbound lanes. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Either officer have any other information you wish to provide to the court based on the testimony from Mr. Mueller?
No, Your Honor.
Was that Officer Lopez? Sergeant Allen, you have anything else you want to provide to the court? Either one of you want to tell me about this black truck issue? Yes, no, maybe? Okay.
I can't hear anyone speaking there.
I know, I was asking the officers, does either of the officers have any more information? Mr. Mueller suggested that the speeding vehicle was a black truck and not his vehicle, and that he did in fact slow down. Does either officer want to provide any more information with respect to Mr. Mueller's defense?
Yes, Your Honor, Corporal Lopez.
Yes, sir. Corporal Lopez, go ahead.
Stating is horrible here in the States. When I was advised by Sergeant Allen about the speeding driver, I visually estimate that Mr. Mueller was in fact speeding based on my experience, not the black truck.
So are you saying that the vehicle that you saw was Mr. Mueller's vehicle and not the black truck?
Yes, was the
Excuse me.
to be the one that was speeding.
Okay.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes, sir.
When I was going through, there was two officers, one facing west with his back to me, and the other one was walking north with his back to me. I don't see how anyone could identify me as the speeder when in fact, I wasn't speeding at all. I was 25 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour max going into that accident area.
Well, Mr. Mueller, I have two officers that both say that they saw you speeding, and it's interesting that they didn't cite you for speeding because a speeding citation carries with it a much greater penalty.
No.
The penalty for this citation is $30 plus court costs.
Excuse me, the citation is violation of right-of-way.
The citation is failure to move over for an emergency vehicle or wrecker, and pursuant to statute 316.126 sub 1B1, the fine is $30 plus court costs, so it would be $133 total. If you were charged with speeding 30 miles over the speed limit, it would be $250 plus court costs.
The citation says failure to move over, slow down for emergency vehicles, wreckers, sanitation utility vehicles. There was no one in that lane or no one close to that lane, and both officers had their back to me when I was going through that area. I don't see how anyone could identify the car. Just because I slowed down for other reasons doesn't mean that I was speeding there. The officer that the officer I mentioned, I have to look at my notes again, Reno, was not facing me, his back was to me. And Lopez was the same, he was the guy that was going to a cruiser, he had his back to me. Neither of those were looking at the vehicle.
All right, sir. Well, respectfully, I disagree. Both officers said that they saw your vehicle and they saw you. And I am finding that there was a violation. It's a $30 fine plus court costs. That's the order of this court, sir. I appreciate your challenge to it, but I'm not finding in your favor. I'm finding that the officers saw you. I understand your position, but I disagree.
All right. So you're finding me how much?
$30 plus court costs. However, in light of the fact that you have a clean driving record, you've been driving as long as you have, I'm going to withhold adjudication, which means the court is not going to impose the points.
So what did the court was?
103.
103?
Yep, so it's 133. But you won't have any points on your license.
Well,
all right.
I started off with no points on my license, and so thank you very much.
Well, you're going to end up with no points too. And I appreciate you coming in and arguing your case. You did a very good job, sir. But unfortunately, I feel differently. But I am going to at least give you the benefit of the doubt based on your record by withholding the points. Okay, so that way your insurance won't go up and you won't have all those headaches on top of it. How's that sound?
I know you had a bunch of serious stuff happening before I got on with you, so
no.
At
least you don't have that, right?
It, but
you had to sit here and listen to all that. At least you didn't have that problem. There's always somebody that's got a bigger problem than you do in this world, right?
Well, my big problem is I think the two officers have been telling you the wrong thing. And I was really excited about this whole thing because when Lopez caught up with me. He didn't have a mask on. He's spitting all over the side of my face. I was just very aggrieved at that. So
I
I'll send
understand.
you your money.
That's an issue for another day and another person, sir, however. And I'm sorry you went through that, but for today's purposes, all I can do is address the issues that are assigned to me, which would be your citation. So good luck to you, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lucarelli, your case is next, which would be Maltarian Stevens, Officer Mulroy, case number 20 TR 24513, careless driving with a crash. Are there any witnesses in the room for this citation?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Galligan?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else that's here? And I see Officer Mulroy is in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Lucarelli.
Judge, I'd start with an order of tennis motion to dismiss the citation, seeing as it's vague and indistinct. It fails to apprise my client, the defendant, what act he actually committed in order to be charged with this charge. I think that Robinson v. State 152 Southern 717 requires the to wit clause to include those details of what he did so that he can properly be prepared to defend himself.
Officer, response?
I would like to leave it to your discretion, Your Honor.
He's right. There's nothing in the citation. The citation has to be dismissed.
I did make a note that the driver failed to operate the vehicle in a safe manner, and that was based on my crash investigation. But nothing beyond that was documented.
It needs to be a little more specific than that, sir. Particularly when there is a crash involved, it really does need to explain the driving that led to the careless citation. Just simply saying driving in an unsafe manner is not sufficient for the court to make a determination that it would be satisfactory under the law. So for the next time, obviously that information has to be in there. So the court, pursuant to the Robinson case, does have to dismiss the citation.
Thank you, Judge. Hope the rest of your day is better than the first part.
Just
What's
to
that?
confirm that with the defendant is Stevens, correct? I thought I heard.
Yes, Meltarine Stevens. And I apologize, Ms. Galligan. This case is being dismissed on what's known as a legal technicality, which is if there is information that's required to be in a citation, and if it's not in the citation, the court is required to dismiss it on the day of trial, and that's today with this citation. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day.
You too. All right. How about Jason Nagel, 19 TR 36647, Officer Nowlin, 91 and a 70. Oh no, I'm sorry. That one's 101 and a 50. Mr. Nagel, you here? Mr. Nagel? Jason Nagel. All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna pull this up. Is Officer Miguel Nova here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, wonderful. Let me look at Mr. Nagel. And Mr. Unger, I saw you had a question. I'll get to you as soon as I'm done with this. I forgot to call on you. Just give me a minute to look at this case, and then I'll answer your question. Nagel. All right, in this case involving Mr. Jason Nagel, case number 20-24343, the defendant was noticed to appear. The first notice to appear went out for him to appear on 10/28/20. The defendant failed to appear. Although this case has been continued several times to facilitate getting the subpoenas out to the officer, the defendant was noticed for today. The notice has not come back and the defendant has failed to appear. As a result, the court is going to find that he committed violation by default. Officer, what is the recommended disposition of this case, sir?
The max is possible. He once I went up to the vehicle, he was the driver. He switched seats with the passenger. They were driving a Lamborghini, and it was at the time of night. You know, Immokalee Road was full of traffic, and he was weaving in and out of traffic. When he passed me, I was parked in the median, and I visually estimated at 104, and he passed me 102, I believe, 101. I caught up with him. I waited for backup because I thought that he wanted to flee from me, so I waited for backup to arrive. And before even exiting my car, I could see them switching seats. It's a Lamborghini. It's like half the size of my Explorer, so you could probably see the brake.
Before. There's a few of those in Naples.
And it was a rental, 2022.
A rental? Yeah. I know you could rent a Lamborghini.
Yeah, needed.
Okay. So the mandatory. Yes.
No, I'm saying he never provided a driver's license. He was kind of iffy on his name and date of birth and where he lived and what he was doing in Naples. I was able to find out he lived in Texas with a Texas driver's license, but he also had something in Florida, whether it was suspended or expired or something along the line.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I have a question for the clerk. There she is, Amanda. Is the mandatory fine that's on here, is that in addition to the statutory penalty, or is this one of those where that $1,000 is just the penalty that we assign?
I think that is just the straight penalty.
That's the straight fine, okay. Because I know the other day I had a conversation with one of the clerks about where we had ones where you would also impose the additional penalty. So the penalty officer and this is the first offense for him, speeding over 50, would be a $1,000 fine plus court costs, and there also would be an adjudication. I'm also going to order him to do 12-hour school.
That'll work.
That'll work? All right, thank you. Thank you for your patience. Are you leaving?
No problem. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Did you want to J-fix that?
Yes,
okay.
I do. All right, thank you. Mr. Unger, you had your hand up earlier. You had a question, sir.
Yes, what happened is after you, I guess, you had problems with the audio, I must have been kicked off the Zoom. I don't know if you called my case or not. I only have one remaining.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance yet. I was kind of going through my docket. I do have a bunch of them with Trooper Elisant, but I could call it right now. 20 TR 19589, which is John Whelan, 99.
Yes.
Is that gonna
Do you have the ability, Judge, to put us in a breakout room? Is that possible?
Let me find out. I mean, I think I've never done it before. I know it's terrible, but I haven't done it before.
That's okay, Judge. If that's inconvenient for the court, I can give the trooper my cell phone number and he can just call me at his convenience, and then we can come back on the Zoom.
Assign manually. All right, create. Let me see if I can do it.
Okay, Judge.
All right, let's go assign. Oh my goodness, I think I may have figured it out. That doesn't mean I'll figure out how to get you guys back in, but. All right, so let me see here. So I'm gonna put you in there and see if this works. All right, I'm hoping it's gonna work. There we go. So I added you guys to the breakout room. Did it work?
Not yet.
Option. Oh wait, open all rooms.
Oh, yes, it does work, Judge. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
Judge,
all right. Yes, sir.
Kogler, I just have one case with a no contest plea, no hearing, no trial.
Okay, Mr. Kogler, let me just find you, sir. I don't see you. Where are you? You might. What's your client's name?
This last name is Perez. I'm bringing up the name again. I'm not sure if it's closed, rescheduled. I apologize, Judge.
Let's see if I can find it. Last name is Perez. Yes, I do see it. Jose Luis. Let me just see where I put Mr. Luis. Who's our officer? Swank.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me find you. I must have had it up here somewhere. Yes. I haven't called that one yet. It is 20 TR 25757, 92 and a 45. And what are we doing with that case, sir?
Judge, no contest, respectfully requesting a withhold with 8 hours of school and whatever appropriate fines the court deems appropriate, hoping the trooper has no objections.
Trooper, what's your position on this one? I haven't looked at the driving record yet. It was
it's deputy, not trooper. That's fine. It's up to you, Your Honor. That's fine. I have 2 cases today, so I'm good with whatever.
I'll call your next case too right after this. I just want to take a look at the driving record.
Yes, ma'am.
Got a good driving record other than one other speeding citation. Mr. Kogler, with this speed, if I'm going to do a withhold on it, I would want a 12-hour course. I drop my daughter off at her friend's house out on Oil Well Road all the time. 92 and a 45 is ridiculous. So I want him to do the full 12-hour school, and it'll be a $300 fine plus court costs.
If I can have 90 days to complete all of that?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Officer Swank, you also have Tyrone Fuller, 20 TR 14661. Is Mr. Fuller in the room? Mr. Fuller, you there? Tyrone Fuller. I thought I saw him. Maybe not. I swear I thought I saw the last name Fuller, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's just recall that. I'm going to give him a few minutes in case he got kicked out when I got everybody else kicked out. How about Juan Carlos Sanchez? 19 TR 36647. Did I recall that one? I don't think I did. Trooper Nolan?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Thank you. Is Mr. Sanchez here? Juan Sanchez. Let me just pull his information up. Okay. Sanchez. 19 TR 36647 for the record. And let's see what his notice looks like. He's been noticed to appear. Amanda, can you tell me what happened with this case? It looks like he had a fine, wait a minute, 210. Was this case already disposed of? No, that was a year ago, 210 to 20. It says there was a fine and then it was reset for a hearing. Did something happen? I can't figure it out.
Give me 1 second to look.
Okay, thank you. Paid $23, $278 due. Strange. This one's been open for a long time. It's been open since December 2019, so it's just going to take me a minute to see what's been happening with it.
Right, and the only thing that I see is that it keeps getting scheduled and canceled again.
Well, it was scheduled for today with me and his notice didn't get sent back, so I'm entering an order by default, $175 fine plus court costs and an adjudication.
And is that a D6 on that one as well?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Next, we would have Michelle Puente, Officer Tobler. Is Ms. Puente here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wonderful. Is Officer Tobler in the room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, where's Officer Tobler? There she is. Okay, and Ms. Puente, are you asking for a hearing today, ma'am?
I was actually going to ask for continuation.
Okay. Why would you be asking for a continuance?
Because there are other charges that the officer gave me, and that still has not been resolved.
Are the other charges traffic citations?
Yes. No, they are actually related to this case also, to the same incident.
It's a criminal traffic citation.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. You have a lawyer in the criminal case, Ms. Tobler? I mean, Ms. Puente, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Do you have a lawyer in the criminal case?
I believe so. I believe his name is David.
Officer, what were the related charges? Was it resisting?
No, ma'am, it was violation of a traffic control device and failed to comply with the lawful order.
Because the only two misdemeanors I see are 20 MM 25, which was filed January 6th of 2020, resisting without violence, and then also 20 CT 40, which it was filed also January 6th, and it is also a resisting arrest without violence.
Yes. One of them was resisting without violence as well.
Okay. So you have the Office of the Public Defender, Ms. Puente?
Yes. I believe so.
I'm going to give you one continuance on this to allow your attorney to file a request to consolidate the traffic citation with the misdemeanor. If the lawyer does not file a request to consolidate the traffic citation with the misdemeanor, this case will go to a hearing on the next available hearing date, which will be April the 14th at 1:30. So I would suggest that you talk to your attorney about that issue, because I'm not going to continue it again, because I've just had an officer who's been waiting for almost 2 hours. Actually, I think it's almost more now. 2.5 hours to have this case heard. And if I would have known I was going to continue it, I would have addressed it earlier. And I just for the record, we need to make sure that the attorney does that. Otherwise, we will have a hearing on the 14th. Okay.
I actually wanted to mention that on the 14th, I do actually have a hearing which is involved into a family case with my son. So unfortunately, I will not be able to do a hearing for this case on the April the 14th.
What time's your hearing with your son?
It's at 1 o'clock, and I don't know how long it's going to be. So I don't think I'll be able to do the April the 14th.
What other date can we give her, Amanda?
We have the 21st, April 21st.
How about the 21st?
So April the 21st and I need to actually speak with the attorney.
What you need to do is you need to tell your attorney who's handling your criminal case that you have a traffic citation, and your traffic citation is currently set for a hearing.
Perfect. That works. Okay. Thank you so much. I've also been waiting.
I'm giving you a roadmap. All right? Yes. Mr. Unger, you have a question. Thank you. Mr. Unger, you have a question.
Judge, I have a resolution to the Whalen case, WHELEN case. If the court would indulge us, please.
Yes, let me find you again. Yes, what is the resolution, sir?
I spoke to the trooper. He's going to amend to 9 over. He has no objection to a withhold, and he doesn't have an objection if you add additional fines also. Is that correct, Trooper Masonette?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
With the 9 over, the fine would be $25 plus court costs. I actually can't impose additional fines. The only time I can impose additional fines is if it's 30 over.
Okay. Do you have any objection, Trooper?
No objection.
Thank you.
Thank you both. So that'll be the order of the court, 25 plus court costs, and it was a withheld adjudication. Is that right?
Yes,
Judge.
All right.
If we could be excused. Thank you, Trooper.
Yes,
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Have a safe day.
I do still have a few for you, Trooper. I'm almost to you. If you just give me a minute, let me just finish up with the ones that I've got right before you. Ms. Fish, Chris Solomini, 20 TR 23575. Monica Fish in the room? No? All right. Then.
Yes, Your Honor. Juan Delgado for Monica Fish, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you. All right, Mr. Delgado. Thank you.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for? And is Officer Harrell in the room?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Corporal. So, sir, is this going to be a hearing, Mr. Delgado?
Do we have any offers to resolve, Your Honor?
I don't know. Officer, do you have any suggested resolution on this? I just need to pull it up and take a look at it.
I don't know what their traffic their history is, but if it's okay, I'm okay with a withhold on this, as long as they have a good driving record.
I don't have a driving record. They live in Massachusetts. Wait a minute, maybe she filed it.
Yes, I believe it was filed. The Massachusetts driving record was filed, Your Honor.
Yeah, she filed it. I love when you guys do that.
I
And
believe November 30th, Your Honor.
appreciate that. It's a little different than ours, so just give me a minute.
It took me a while to realize it wasn't ours.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Well, how old is he? I can't tell.
Born in 61.
So I was going to say, this gentleman has a whole bunch of stuff in the 80s. Like he was having some trouble back then, but nothing since then.
Okay.
The 80s weren't good to him, but it looks like in the last, many years since then, hasn't really had anything. He had a seatbelt
Yeah, Your Honor.
violation in 03.
He really cleaned up his driving skills.
The last speeding he had, which I can't even tell what it was in 2011. So I'm comfortable with doing a withhold in this $60 fine.
How much was the fine, Your Honor?
What's that? 60 plus court
All right.
costs, so 163.
And how long does he have to pay that, Your Honor?
I can give him 90.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, and you have one other, which is Ruth St. Clair, 20 TR 17344. Is Miss St. Clair here?
I will be surprised.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Miss St. Clair. Miss St. Clair, you're charged with doing 75 and a 45. Would you like to have a hearing, ma'am?
Not really, because there was no excuse. Regardless what I said, there isn't any excuse. But the vehicle that I was driving at the time, it was my brother's, and the acceleration, it doesn't pick up when it's supposed to. I would say it's like when I'm doing a certain amount of miles, and that's not what it is. It's it's above, but like I said, there's no excuse about it.
Okay. So you're not contesting the speed?
No.
Corporal, any information you want to give me about Miss St. Clair?
I know she had one passenger in the vehicle at the time. My notes state that she has multiple citations, as well as she had numerous warnings for speed in the past.
All right, and that's what I see on my dash, Ms. St. Clair. What your driving record reflects is that you had a speed in 14, which is a long time ago, but you also had a speed in 16, 19, and 20, and the court can't ignore those. So based on your record and your admission, it would be a $250 fine plus court costs and an adjudication. And I'll give you 90 days to pay if you would like.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. This was my last one. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to recall Tyrone Fuller. Is Mr. Fuller in the room? 20 TR 14661. Mr. Fuller, are you here? Tyrone Fuller. All right, let me take a look at it. Officer Swank, Mr.
Yes,
Fuller,
ma'am.
just find his information. 20 TR 14661, 75 and a 35. This one's been going on for a year, almost.
It was during the construction phase on Colgate Boulevard East.
It's interesting because he has an almost clean driving record, so I would think he would at least want to appear on his own behalf. And he's been given multiple opportunities to do so, and he's not here. So without him here, the court is going to enter a judgment by default. $350 fine plus court costs and adjudication. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
That's your last one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have Mr. Jose Cuevas, 20 TR 23938, Officer Garcia and Attorney Schwartz.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Officer Garcia?
I'm here, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm putting over.
How are you, Trooper? We'd like to change our plea to no contest, but the driver does have a CDL, and I wanted to know if the officer or the trooper would have an objection to amend it to an equipment violation with a standard fine and cost for the regular citation.
I'm not going to amend it, but if the judge wants to withhold the adjudication, that's fine with me.
Right, but if he has a CDL, there's no equivalent for a withhold unless you would amend it to an equipment or non-moving.
I'm sorry, man. No, I just put it how I write it.
Okay.
I mean, what he did was actually, he could have avoided getting the ticket, but
I understand.
He was just lazy.
Okay, no contest, Your Honor.
$60 fine plus court costs, and the court will withhold adjudication.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
You too. All right, how about Jennifer Surge, 20 TR 25552. Ms. Surge, SCRJE?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, are you planning on having a hearing today?
Yes.
Okay, I need to have both you and Officer Garcia raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you both swear and affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Garcia, can you please tell the court why it is that you cited Ms. Garcia for driving 67 and a 45 and the facts and circumstances surrounding that citation, please?
Your Honor, on October 28th at about 3:12 p.m., I was traveling westbound on Golden Gate Boulevard, east of Wilson. Traffic was light and it was a clear day. And I observed a Kia passenger car traveling eastbound on the left lane, passing a pickup truck. Right there, I estimated the speed of 70 miles an hour. So I activated the radar, my stalker dual radar on moving mode, and I got an opposite target speed, excuse me, 67 in a 45. I made a U-turn. When I made the U-turn, her brake lights came up, and I went ahead and conducted a traffic stop. There was no issues. I explained to her why I pulled her over. She was identified by a Florida driver's license. And I just gave her a citation, 67 in a 45, and this happened in Collier County, Florida.
Thank you. Ms. Serge, you want to tell me your side of the story? What happened?
Hi, yeah. At the time, I was driving my father-in-law's car because my car was not working, so I had to borrow his car. I was actually coming from an interview. I'm a registered nurse, and I hadn't worked since April. So I really needed some work. So he had let me borrow his car, but he needed the car to get back to his job. So I was trying to get it back to him as soon as possible. I have a clean driving record. I was really just trying to get back to him as soon as I can. And I know I was speeding, but I don't recall going 67.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, ma'am, even if you were going 65, it would still be a $175 fine. If you were going 15 to 19, it would be $150. So it's a $25 difference. It's not a huge difference in the fine. I would, based on your clean driving record, withhold adjudication. Officer, would you agree with that, Sergeant? I'm looking at her driving record. I think she's been driving for 26 years and she's got looks like nothing on her driving record.
I'm okay with it, Your Honor. That's fine.
Would that work for you, Ms. Serge?
Sorry, I don't even know what that means.
Well, what that means is based on your clean driving record, I would still impose the fine, which is $175 plus the court costs, which is $103. But I would withhold the points, which means you won't get any points. And I'm also not making you go to driving school, which I've been doing with a lot of people today. So I'm just allowing you to pay the fine, avoid the points, and you don't have to attend traffic school, which most people don't like to do.
Okay,
Although some people probably think it's fun.
that's fine.
That work for you? Okay. I can give you between 30 and 90 days to pay the fines and court costs. How much time do you need?
90, please.
All right, I'll give you 90. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. All right. And next we have Kleiman Costa Garcia, 20 TR 25051, Attorney Venmed, and Officer Elisant.
I'm here, Judge.
There
Good
he is.
afternoon.
Thank you. I saw Trooper Elisant earlier. There he is.
I'm here, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Venmed, is this going to be a hearing, sir?
On this one, Judge, officer, do you have a recollection on this case?
Officer, can you advise the defendant name again, Your Honor?
The defendant's name is Kleiman Costa Garcia, 20 TR 25051. Last name begins with a C.
Okay, yes, I do have it here. Yes, I do.
Okay, Judge, I'm gonna change plea. I'm gonna request a withhold, Judge, if possible. I know the speed is high, it's 31. He was on 75 and it was, what time of the day was it? It was almost 9 o'clock, Judge. So I don't know how the traffic was at that time.
Mr. Venmed, have you looked at his driving record?
I did, Judge. I tried to look at it very quickly. Yeah, it's not the best in the world, Judge. I tried to resolve this at pre-trial.
I know, but since I have been a judge, and even when I was a lawyer, I think the biggest driving record that I have seen has been 4 pages. This gentleman, surprisingly, has a 9-page driving record.
I know, Judge. I know.
It's kind of unbelievable. So no, I'm not withholding on him. It's going to be the fine and court costs and adjudication.
That's fine, Judge. Thank you. I understand. I tried.
I can't even believe that he's still able to drive with a 9-page drive. I mean, I can't even believe it. But
you know, I was hoping, Judge, that over the 2 hours that we've been on, you would kind of, you know, the sentences would get lighter little by little. You know, the force just, you know, there's not as much strength and force in it.
I might have just had this really good feeling had I seen a 1-page driving record that probably it was going to show me a small driving history. But when I look at the dashboard, it says 9. It piques my curiosity. And I've only looked at the 2nd page.
I was going to make a motion for no method, Judge, on this, but I decided, you know what, Mr. Zeman just got a continuance out of that one. I didn't want to play this game this late in the day. I didn't think you were going to be in the mood for it, so. Okay.
Sorry, what motion were you going to try to make?
Don't worry about it, officer. It's I didn't make it, so.
That I denied before is what it was going to be. It was going to say that the citation was deficient because you failed to put a serial number on it or something like that.
Your Honor, in reference to that citation, that information is on the citation. I just checked my citation. It is on that. That was just,
it was
I didn't have it with me at the time.
It was just a method, officer. That's okay. I didn't make it, officer. I didn't make it.
Okay.
I saw what happened with the first one. I didn't do it. So we have another one here.
Yeah, 250 plus court costs. He now has a 10-page driving record. So hopefully that's the rest of it, the end. No, I'm kidding. I don't know whether that makes it 10 pages or not. All right. How about Abel Preto Yanis, 20 TR 25810, 88 and a 60. Is that going to be a hearing?
Do you have a recollection on this, officer?
I do.
Do you have any amendments?
No, I don't.
Judge, on this one, I would move to dismiss that statute. If there's no amendment, it's just a statute for the Department of Transportation to erect signs. And my client did not erect any signs with any speed on the sign. I guarantee you that. That's for sure.
Unlawfully. This says unlawful speed.
Right. He's charged. That statute is for the Department of Transportation being able to erect signs indicating a certain speed on a certain road. There's no speeding. There's no element of speeding in that subsection whatsoever. It's just for the Department of Transportation. It enables their trucks to go out and bang the signs into the grass, into the ground, and allow us to know what speed the road is dictated.
16.1871?
Yes, Judge. There's nothing there to violate for my client.
I thought that was the speeding statute.
Not that subsection. That's just an enabling statute for the Department of Transportation to erect the metal signs. That's for their usage.
This was speeding, yeah. Right. Should have been charged under 316.187 2C.
Correct. Yes, Judge. I think it might have been a typo by the trooper because he did that on the last citation. He wrote them both and he wrote them within a couple of days of each other, but I let him make the amendment, and I don't think that that's just not the right statute.
No, it's not. All right. Based on there being no request to amend, the court will dismiss the citation.
Thank you, Judge.
And I will point out for the record that this gentleman does not have a terrible driving record, so he got a pass on it this time.
I understand, Judge. Always good to see you. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. 20 TR 25815, Donjin Su, also you Trooper Alisant. Is Mr. Su in the room? Donjin Su. All right, let's see what is up with him.
I believe I saw that.
Yes, I'm in the room.
Oh, there you are, sir. All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Su, are you planning on having a hearing today, sir?
Yes.
All right, and yet have you both raise your right hand and be sworn? Do you both swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Su?
I do.
All right, Trooper, will you please tell
Yes, I do.
You cited Mr. Su for going 96 and a 70 and the circumstances surrounding that citation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On October 30th, 2020, at approximately 9:48 p.m., I was stationary on the median near mile marker 96, and I was facing westbound traffic. I was doing a stationary radar. It's when I observed the vehicle. I was traveling west at a high rate of speed. It was on the inside lane, and there were no other vehicles present. I visually estimated the vehicle to be traveling at 95 miles per hour. I activated my radar speed measuring device, and I received a reading of 96 miles per hour by display, as well as a steady audio double tone consistent with the vehicle's speed. The speed limit on this road is 70 miles an hour. I initiated a lawful traffic stop. I made a passenger side approach. I introduced myself, and I stated the reason for the stop. I asked if there was a legal reason for his action. He said no. I requested a driver's license, registration, and insurance. I identified the driver by the picture on his Florida driver's license. He had one passenger in the vehicle. The driver was cited for speed, and the traffic stop was concluded. And this all occurred in Clay County.
Thank you. Mr. Su?
Yes, I agree with that.
You do agree with that?
Yeah, I do. But I have a little excuse. Is my passenger on board is in physical discomfort, and I mailed the hospital document to court, I believe.
I don't quite understand you. Are you saying you were sick?
I'm not sick. The passenger is sick. Not sick. It's discomfort.
Okay, I don't see that.
You don't see the the
Oh, wait a
evidence?
minute. There says correspondence. Let's see here, notice of confidential filing. Boy, there's a notice of confidential filing, but I don't see. Notice of confidential information. Doctor's order and doctor visit. I am filing doctor order and doctor visit, but I don't see it. So are you saying that there was a doctor's visit that day, sir?
Yes, affirmative.
And you were on your way to that doctor's visit when you got the citation?
No, the doctor thing is in afternoon. We are at the night. We're close to our destination, and it was less traffic. So I was going fast.
I know. I guess I'm just trying to understand what your excuse was for speeding that day.
Because my passenger is saying he's not feeling well, so I decide to go a little faster. And we are very close to Naples, about 10 minutes of driving. So that's the basic, no other excuses.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so sir, that isn't a valid excuse under the law. It is a reason, but I still do find that you committed the violation. You have a perfectly clean driving record, so what the court will do is withhold adjudication of guilt and impose the $175 fine plus court costs.
175?
That's the fine, yes, plus the court cost of 103, so it's 278. But I am withholding the points because you have a perfectly clean driving record. I can't dismiss the citation outright because although you had somebody who was suffering some physical discomfort, I can't find that there was an emergency in that situation. When you're going that fast, you put other people that are around you in danger. And that's just not an acceptable reason, sir. Okay?
Yeah, I'll buy that. Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Trooper, I think you have one last case too, which is Manuel Labrada with Mr.
Yes.
Yes. And that is case number 20 TR 24028. Mr. Todd, you there? There
Yes,
he is.
Your Honor. This will be a hearing.
Okay. Swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Trooper, can you tell the court why it is that you cited Mr. Labrada 116 and a 70, please, and the circumstances surrounding that citation?
Yes, Your Honor. This occurred on October 12th, 2020 at approximately 4:13 p.m. I was traveling east on I-75, State Road 93. I was near mile marker 91. I was running opposite moving radar. I observed the vehicle traveling west at a high rate of speed on the inside lane, passing other vehicles. I visually estimated the vehicle to be traveling at 110 miles an hour. I activated my radar speed measuring device and received a reading of 116 mile per hour by display and a clear, steady auto double tone consistent with the high rate of speed. The limit on this road is 70 miles an hour. I initiated a lawful traffic stop. I observed the vehicle continue to travel at a high rate of speed, cutting in and out of traffic multiple times, tailgating other vehicles, trying to run them off the road so he can pass them. I didn't cut up with the vehicle. He pulled over near the mile marker 95. I made a passenger side approach. I introduced myself. I stated the reason for the stop. I asked if there was a legal reason for his action. He said no. Well, he did say that I'm taking the vehicle to a dealer, picking up another vehicle and all that, which was not a reason. I then requested his driver's license, registration, and insurance. I identified him by the picture on his photo driver's license, and he had no passenger in the vehicle. The driver was cited for speed, and the traffic stop was concluded.
All right, thank you. Mr. Todd, questions?
No questions.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would move to dismiss. Their state has offered no evidence which would indicate this court is the proper venue. There's no testimony establishing that this violation occurred in Collier County.
I thought his testimony was that this occurred in Collier County based on the based on where it occurred. That's what I understood. Did I miss that?
Your Honor, I never heard the word Collier County.
All right, well, the court has discretion to reopen the testimony, which it's going to do right now, and ask the trooper, did this occur in Collier County, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, this all occurred in Collier County.
Where is mile marker? Let me just make sure. I-75 westbound mile marker 91 is in Collier County?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Todd, respectfully, the court does find that it was in Collier County.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other argument?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right,
Your Honor, Corporal Carver with the Sheriff's Office, Orlando Avalos.
sir, I haven't ruled on this case yet, so I'll give you just a minute if you wouldn't mind. Just give me a second. All right, based on the evidence and testimony presented, the court does find that there was in fact a violation at 46 miles over the speed limit. The court is going to impose a $400 fine plus court costs. That is the ruling of this court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Trooper. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mr.
As
Todd.
well, thank you.
I think that's your last case. Okay.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Andres Antonio, is this correct to say that was continued with the other case
Antonio.
from the same? Yes, I have Andres Antonio Santa Maria Andrioni.
Is that the one that I continued? I thought I continued Dayanara Iglesias. I thought we were.
You
resolved.
continued that one. Yes.
Oh, and I did. Yes, I continued them both.
Okay.
I continued both of them. Yes, they were both continued.
All right, and I'm just to be certain, he was requesting the information on my radar. Is that correct?
Said that your citation was deficient. I honestly don't remember how he said it was deficient, but there's some deficiency on the citation that was pointed out to the court, and I told him I would allow you leave to amend that citation and that it would be reset. And did we reset it for the 14th, both of them, Amanda? Reset for the 14th. So I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you they pointed out a deficiency.
Okay, I will review the citation, Your Honor, and make the proper corrections.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Corporal Carver, I've called your case a few times looking for attorney Christopher Brown, who's signed in a few times, and I don't stare. Mr. Suarez, are you here for Mr. Brown?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. He had another obligation, and we tagged out. He tagged out, and I tagged in.
Okay, great. Let's address that case, which is Orlando Avalos 20 TR 25088. Corporal Carver is here. And what are we doing with this case, sir? Are we having a hearing?
Judge, no, this is a change of plea. I haven't seen the driving record, but I can confidently say it's not likely to be 9 pages. I think he's got.
I think that was a once in a lifetime opportunity.
That's why I was bold enough to make that claim.
It is a claim. I don't know how good of a claim it is, but it's definitely a claim. All right, let me see what Mr. Avalos has. One pager.
Unfortunately, he did have a whopper this time, Judge. I'm not going to try to downplay the speed. 106 in a 45 by way of mitigation, Judge. All I could say is it was in the middle of nowhere at 3:20 a.m. So I doubt there was very much traffic, but he certainly put his own life in danger. That's a fact. Based on the record, though, I would ask the court to consider withholding adjudication, perhaps with an enhanced driving course.
Purple?
Your Honor, I would highly be against that. I was currently on the road when he was going that speed. It's in a construction zone. There was numerous construction equipment, barriers on the roadway, beside the roadway, and there was other vehicles on the road. It was an egregious speed.
Yes, sir, I just don't feel comfortable with 50 plus over with doing a withhold. I just can't. $1,000 fine and an adjudication.
I understand, Your Honor. Thank you for your consideration.
I don't know how the other judges feel about it, but when I start to look at 50 over when you're driving anywhere, and I don't know if you were here to hear me say this earlier, I find it shocking. I just can't imagine that somebody thinks about going that fast, whether it's in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, or anytime, unless, you get permission to go on the Daytona Speedway. Maybe that's when you get a pass to do it, but you don't in the middle of the night, not on SR 82. So hopefully this is a learning lesson to him and he slows down.
I understand, Judge. I understand. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you both.
May I be released, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Oh, and sir, does your client need time to pay? It's going to be a hefty fine, 1,000 plus court costs.
Yes, Judge, I would request 90 days if possible.
I'll give him 90. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Next we have Hanny 920 TR 2973. Officer Kaplan.
Yes, ma'am.
There you are, Sergeant. Is Mr. Hanine in the room? I think I see someone named Hanny. I'm hoping that Hanny is Hanny Hanine down on the right. Sir? Sir named Hanny, will you please unmute your microphone? All right, sir, there you are.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm calling your case, sir. And I have the officer that cited you on Zoom as well. Sir, are you asking for a hearing?
Well, hopefully we could clear up this matter without a hearing. I never got a chance to talk to the officer prior to this Zoom call.
Okay.
I have, I looked up, I'm not saying I'm very well versed in these two statutes, and I'm not an attorney, so bear with me. It's just information that I collected off the internet, and then the pretty much based on the data that I've collected. Okay. That day, and also I have my phone records here in front of me, so I don't know how to send that to you to show you that I was not texting and driving. I was on my way. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. I was on my way to, I'm a real estate agent here in town, and I was on my way to 2445 Hayden Circle. Okay. That's in Orange Blossom Ranch.
Hold on 1 minute.
Sure.
I need to get both sworn in, because when you decide you're going to tell me my story, your story, you're getting sworn in.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you both. At this point, he's already started telling me, officer, so I'm going to let him continue. Go ahead, sir.
Yep.
As I was saying, I was on my way to 2445 Hayden Circle to meet a potential buyer at the property. And when the officer came, and this is why I apologize to Mr. Officer Kaplan, I was just a little frustrated. It was just a long day to begin with, and my day was not even close to being ending. And I was just a little frustrated because he wouldn't acknowledge that I showed him my phone. I was on my navigation. I was not texting. And I remember that law had just come into place maybe 6 months or a year prior. I could be wrong on the dates. And I don't need any more tickets. I had enough going on, and nobody wants to pay court fines. So I was not on the phone. At 7:20, actually on the phone with my father.
Lost you there, sir.
Sorry.
I lost you. You cut out.
All right. So I was at 6:54. I was on the phone with my father for 21 minutes. All right. So I wasn't texting. I was pulled over at 7:50 or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, or 7:54, whatever it was. I was not texting and driving. I have the records to support that. I was looking down on my phone for navigation purposes. All right. I was not in a school zone. I was not in a construction zone. It was strictly on Immokalee Road. That's why I was requesting a dismissal of the ticket. And again, I extend my apologies, my sincere apologies to the officer. I was just frustrated because he wasn't hearing all of that. And I showed him my phone that I was on my navigation, and I have the documents to prove this. I don't know I could get it over to you right now by email.
Okay. Officer, what's the response, sir? You tell the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Well, okay, so every citation I make notes. With being on the traffic, we conduct traffic stops day in and day out. So my notes are pretty clear. At 7:50 going eastbound on Immokalee, it's not the heaviest traffic, but there's still traffic on that roadway. It was dark, which you can see inside vehicles much easier. I was on an agency-issued motorcycle driving eastbound in the middle lane when I observed this driver who presented his Florida driver's license to me with manipulating the phone with his left hand. When I made contact with the driver, he did state he was on his phone. And the reason why he's very apologetic is because when we spoke earlier, before, I think there was some confusion on if we were going to amend something early on. So he heard what I was going to say. He told me, without stepping out of lines, he told me, you couldn't give me an effing warning. And I said, no, sir, here's your citation. He said, give me the effing ticket so I can leave. And as he left, he peeled off into traffic. I let him go at that time, and I just returned back to my motorcycle and imported more notes due to that behavior.
Your Honor, may I say? Oh, sorry.
I'll allow you that. Officer, do you have anything else you want to tell the court? And then, of course, sir, I will allow you to respond.
No problem.
No, ma'am. Like I said, I already issued the citation, so his behavior after had no reflect on my decision prior to issuing the citation. It was just how he handled it after.
Okay. And did he suggest to you that he was on his navigation versus utilizing his phone for other purposes?
You know, I take this stuff very serious because I'm the one working fatal vehicle crashes, which we have one possibly right now going on. I give tie goes to the runner. So if I don't feel 100% positive that I observed him on his phone, manipulating his phone, I would not pull the driver over.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir, Mr. Hanine, you want to say something else, sir?
Yeah. Hold on. Look, I guess my behavior is not relevant to the ticket itself. I mean, I apologize, and that's where my frustration was. You know, maybe I should have probably handled it a little differently, and I get that. All right. But like I said, I was on the phone, and I'm reading here. It's like the exception is if you're manipulating the phone, as long as you're not manipulating the phone to enter in numbers, numericals, or using your texting. That's not what I was doing. And again, I have all my documentation. If you want to continue it, I can provide you with all the documentation. I can provide you with the closing that we had about 45 days later to the address that I was headed to. And I mean, I don't know how to show you the data usage. I don't think I could show you that. You know, I don't even think that's even possible. I was on the phone with Verizon when you had called. I had to hang up to try to find that. But I can't provide you with data usage, but I can provide you with my actual phone bill that will basically, I don't want to say, to give you the misunderstanding of what happened that day. And basically show you that I was not on the phone. At least not texting and driving. No, was I on the phone? Yeah, I was on the phone. I had a call that lasted 22 minutes that was placed at 6:54. And then I was on the phone looking down, and yeah, it is dark. So when you pick up the phone, it looks like you're texting because it is dark, and I do have my brightness up on my screen all the way because I'm always on the road. And so I have my brightness up all the way. So it would probably look like I would be texting and driving, but I was not. And no, I don't have the greatest driving record. I get that. All right. But again, that's no relevance to this matter, Your Honor. So with all due respect from you and the court, I'm just requesting a dismissal on this. And I could, if you want to wait for the documents to arrive in your email, I'm more than happy to do that. But I could provide you everything.
Now, I think I want to continue this hearing, and I want it on one of my hearing dockets to look at the information. And the other thing I want to do is I also want to take a look at the research on the texting statute, because I think the texting statute also prohibits other actions other than simply just texting. And so I'm going to continue this to my next hearing docket. And I may ask you guys to refresh me on your testimony, but I do want to see the information, sir, that you're going to provide. Okay. So without prejudice to either party to provide additional information, I am going to continue this. It'll be another Zoom hearing, okay?
No, that's fine.
What, Amanda, what date would that be?
April 28th.
April 28th at 1:30, guys, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
What you'll need to do, sir, Mr. Hanine, is any information that you have, what you'll need to do is you'll need to file it in the court file. That way it's accessible to both the court and to the officer so that he can review the information you have too. And the same with you, Officer Kaplan. If you have any other information that you want to utilize at the next hearing, please file it in the court file. That all would be public information that you both could review prior to the hearing, okay? And
yes,
I just think I'm more comfortable continuing it so I can take a look at that information. All right. And I appreciate you both waiting patiently.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you. Thank you both. All right. So the next case I have is Christopher Medina Montelegre. Oh, I've got two of them. Montelegre. Mr. Todd.
Yes, Your Honor. There'll be a hearing on both.
All right. Do we want to do them both at the same time or take testimony one at a time, Mr. Todd? My preference would be to do them both at the same time since it were the same day.
I'm in agreement with this court.
All right, thank you so much. All right, officer, you raise your right hand and be sworn. Swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Officer, can you please provide the court with information regarding both cases 25531 and 25530, one being an altered exhaust system and the other one having the television in view of the driver, specifically that he was watching a movie?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. On October 28th, 2020 at approximately 7:40 p.m., I was on an agency-issued motorcycle driving northbound on Airport Pulling Road. As I crossed the intersection of Airport and, I'm blanking on the name, but, Gray Oaks, I'm sorry. On Gray Oaks Community, I observed a red BMW that was also driving in the left-hand lane. I was in the middle lane. As the BMW was accelerating.
Oh, you're frozen. Sir, you're frozen.
It's like he's disconnected from audio.
We lost you. Sergeant, we lost you, Sergeant. We'll get him back. It always happens when you're right at the end of the day. He's totally frozen.
It's dark. I could see the dash cam or the dash. Yep.
We just lost you for like 3 minutes. You were completely frozen.
Oh, snap.
Sorry. We
Nope.
basically everything from the very beginning, right after you said you saw a BMW and then you were completely done. You're done.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. I'll try to make it shorter. Okay. So since I'm on the motorcycle, I'm able to hear all different types of vehicles. And this red BMW was clearly louder than any other BMW I've ever been around. So it gained my attention. As I was driving next to the vehicle, I could see in the driver's dash of where the radio was, a video. It appeared to be a YouTube video being played. And so I initiated a traffic stop, made contact with the driver. He presented his Florida driver's license. He did, when I made contact, he had to turn off the video. I don't know if it was a YouTube, but it looked like a movie or a YouTube or a music video playing in the dash, like a DVD in where the radio would sit. And I issued him a citation. If I remember correctly, I issued a few more citations as well to him, besides just these two. I don't know if that's on record.
I don't know. I only have these two.
So I did return back to my motorcycle and I issued him the altered exhaust and a television view in the driver. This all occurred in Collier County.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Todd.
Yes, good afternoon, Deputy. Who's the registered owner of that BMW?
I don't recall without running the license.
Okay, and let me make sure I heard you correctly. Prior to the initiation of the traffic stop, you were traveling alongside the red BMW when you first observed the video screen. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you take any other than your audible senses? Did you take any measurements of any noise from the vehicle with any type of scientific measurement device?
I did not. The Florida statute does not state that I had to. Just
Okay.
that it's louder and more obscene than any other exhaust modification.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Just a motion.
Okay, I'm ready.
Your Honor, as it relates to the 20 TR 25531, the altered exhaust system, the state has charged my client with subsection A, 316.293(5)A, which is no person shall modify the exhaust system of a motor vehicle, which is distinct from subsection 5B, which is no person shall operate a motor vehicle. There's no, the state isn't able to ascertain, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. The state's evidence has failed to conclusively prove that my client has violated subsection 5A, no person shall modify the exhaust system, which is distinct from operating a vehicle with a modified exhaust system. There's no evidence that my client is the registered owner of that vehicle, therefore no inference can be made that it was my client. We would move to dismiss that citation, 20 TR 25531.
Okay. What about the other one, 20 TR 25530?
Your Honor, I believe the state has met its burden in that case.
I do agree with you in 20 TR 25331. The cited was for having modified the exhaust system. There was insufficient proof that, in fact, that Mr. Medina Montegray did, in fact, modify the exhaust or that the car belonged to him. So that motion is granted and that citation is dismissed. However, on case number 20 TR 25530, yes, 25530, I agree that the state has met its burden and the court will enter an adjudication, $30 fine plus court costs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you.
All right. Is that your last one, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right. Let's see, which gets us to, where are we right now? Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, there we go. I have multiple spreadsheets going here. All right. The next one that I have is Vicente Serrano Hernandez, 20 TR 19278. Mr. Todd and
Yes.
Officer Sackman.
Yes, Your Honor. This is Trooper Sackman. Is the trooper present?
I don't see him. Trooper Sackman, you present? Anybody know where he is by any chance?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Trooper Simon is no, he's not on. He's not on the court right now. He's off duty today.
Let me just take a look at this. Oh. This is Mr. Serrano Hernandez, case number 20 TR 19728. And the subpoena was issued with today's date for today. 20 TR 19278 is dismissed.
Thank you.
20 TR 23456, Robert Few, Officer Suero Latingua.
I am here.
That's you. Thank you.
Your Honor, did
All
you
right.
say, did you say few?
Yes, sir. FEW, just like it sounds.
Thank you. Your Honor, we'll proceed to a hearing.
Swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, sir. Officer, can you tell the court why it is that you charge this individual with traveling 99 and a 70 and the facts and circumstances surrounding that citation, please?
On Tuesday, October 10th, 2020, at approximately 4:08 p.m., I was working stationary radar on I-75 near Mount Market 91, which is in Collier County.
Yes, sir.
Facing east. I observed a white in color vehicle traveling west in the inside lane at a visually estimated 95 miles an hour. Then activated my agency issue radar unit, Golden Eagle 2 radar, and observed a 99 in a digital display screen with a audio consistent Doppler tone. Consistent with the consistent with the visual estimation. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And conducted a traffic stop. Yes, it's been a long day. Then conducted a traffic stop on the vehicle, and the driver identified himself by the picture on his driver's license as Robert Darnell Few II. I then issued citation for traveling 99 opposed to 70 mile an hour zone. And like I said, everything occurred in Collier County.
Thank you. Mr. Todd?
Trooper, do you have an independent recollection of this traffic stop from October?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you testified that it was October 10th. Was that an error, or was it October 6th?
On the citation, I believe it says 10.
10th, okay.
Actually, I stand corrected. Sorry. It does say the 6th.
Okay. You testified that you observed a vehicle traveling what appeared to be above the posted speed limit. Were there any other vehicles around at the time you made this observation?
No, sir. It was a long vehicle.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you, Trooper.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Todd?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so based on the evidence and testimony, the court will find that this gentleman was guilty of speeding 99 and a 70, and it will be an adjudication of guilt, $175 fine plus court costs.
Thank you. Thank you, Trooper.
Thank you, Trooper.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see you again. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, bye. Okay, next we have Anthony Feliz Sanchez, 20 TR 25817. Officer Taruz?
Yes, Your Honor. How you doing?
There it is. Hi. All right, so this was a 96 and a 70. Mr. Todd, is this going to be a hearing, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, need to get you sworn in, officer. Swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Can you please tell the court why it is that you cited this gentleman with traveling 96 and a 70 and the facts and circumstances surrounding that citation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Just to clarify, before I testify, I just wanted to clarify that on the citation, it states that the certification for the device that I used expired on August 14th, 2020. However, I calibrated the device in August of 2020, and I submitted the paperwork for the proper calibration. I just forgot to update it in the system. It's just a little typo that carried on from the previous device calibration.
Has that information been provided to Mr. Todd?
Yes, Your Honor, I've seen it. It's filed with the court. I understand it's a typo.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, sir. So I'm glad that everybody's on the same page with that. So you can proceed. Please give me the information about the citation, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. On October 31st, 2020 at approximately 12:05 a.m., I was on duty and on patrol in Collier County, Florida. It was a cloudy night. I was stationary in the median, observing southbound traffic on I-75 at the 108 mile marker. My vehicle was facing westbound with the passenger side window down in order for me to properly utilize my laser device to observe speed violations. I observed a black Infiniti sedan traveling at a high rate of speed in the outside lane. It was directly behind a Hyundai Elantra sedan that was red in color, and both vehicles seemed to be traveling at approximately the same speed, and their headlights were rapidly approaching my stationary vehicle. I estimated the speed of the Infiniti to be approximately 95 miles an hour on a 70 mile an hour zone. I activated my agency issued Laser Atlanta serial number 26179 and received an acquisition tone and digital display for the vehicle of 96 miles an hour from a distance of 582.4 feet. I made a U-turn in the median without losing sight of the vehicle. I conducted a traffic stop. I approached the passenger side, spoke with the driver, and he was identified by his Florida driver's license as Anthony Feliz Sanchez. Driver stated that he was headed to a club in Naples with some friends, and he had a male in the front passenger seat. The driver was cited for speed, and his demeanor was good during the traffic stop. And just for the information of the court, the Hyundai Elantra sedan was also stopped for speed. Both vehicles pulled over on the right paved shoulder, and he was also issued a citation for 97 miles an hour on a 70 mile an hour zone. and all of the above events occurred in Collier County, Florida.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Todd?
Good afternoon, Trooper. It's good to see you again. Appreciate you being so patient. I know you've been here since 1:30. I saw you.
No problem.
Did you make your? I understand you're utilizing your laser.
Yep.
Is the reticle on that? Is that a dot or is that like a crosshair aperture?
It's a little dot. It's a laser line that obviously we measure it. We try to center it on the vehicle as it's approaching. We try to hit it either on the license plate or on the front bumper.
Okay. And when you made your initial observations as to the estimate of that vehicle, were you looking with your naked eye or were you looking through the aperture of that laser device?
I was looking through my naked eye first, and then I raised the device.
Okay. Thank you, Trooper. Nothing further.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. I'm looking at, so this was,
Your Honor, if I may, I was able to look at his driving record.
I was just about to get to that. I was going to say, I'm surprised that this didn't resolve at a pretrial because it's, 26 over. And when I looked at his driving record, he's got a really good driving record other than having an issue.
Your Honor, I can clarify that if you'd like.
Yes.
This went at pretrial before Judge Brown. And at that time, he was apprehensive about withholding where there was a prior citation for a traffic control device issued between 3 and 4 months prior to this traffic stop. He wanted to hear from the officer. I understand he's not hearing this case, but it's not a terrible violation.
Different judges sometimes have different viewpoints, and sometimes Judge Brown will hear something. He'll say, "I can't believe Judge Nicola did that." That's just how it goes. But my inclination, based on what the officer said today and looking at the driving record, would be to offer him the ability to do driving school, 4-hour school, and avoid the points with the standard fine. Would you agree with that, officer?
Yeah, that's no problem, Your Honor.
All right, $175 fine plus court costs to withhold adjudication of guilt, 4-hour school.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if it helps out the trooper, I really felt bad about him being for 3 hours just for a change of play.
No, it's okay, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. But it's good.
I'll tell you guys, I really did my best with putting together a spreadsheet that tried to take into consideration everybody's needs, but there's just no way of avoiding these monster dockets that are just becoming 40 and 50. They're gonna go 3-4 hours. And if anybody has a suggestion for me about how I could figure out a way to make it easier for everybody to do this, I'm open to suggestion, because I hate the idea that I've got lawyers and officers sitting on Zoom for 3.5 hours trying to get these cases worked out. But I just haven't figured out a good way to stagger it yet. I just, and by the time I figure it out, we'll be back in person. So at least I'm hoping. All right. Yes, I think we all are. So officer, you also have another one, which is Jeffter Rodriguez Goncalves. And I don't think this is yours, Mr. Jackson. 20 TR 26426.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm here.
Yes, sir. All right.
Your Honor, if I may just explain just briefly before we do anything, just to not take up your time.
Yes.
So this case was a little complicated. It was apparently it was based on a crash. There were no witnesses. However, it was treated as a possible hit and run. So I'll explain everything real quick. The defendant that's here today, he apparently rear-ended a vehicle, and then he went around the vehicle and took off. And the driver of the vehicle that got apparently rear-ended took a picture of the car, called the FHP. We arrived on scene. She explained to me everything that happened. I looked at the rear of the car. It had very minor scratches on top of the rear bumper. Very, very minor. Maybe $200 in damages, if that. Absolutely no dents, just light scratches. I did the report anyway. I was able to trace the license plate back to the house. I went to the house, spoke to a family member. The family member called the driver back to the house because the driver was not there. He came back and he explained to me that there was an altercation between that person. He did verify that that actually did happen, but he said that no crash occurred and no contact on the vehicle occurred. He said that the lady improperly brake checked him, and he went really close to the rear of her vehicle, but did not make contact with the vehicle. Then he pulled, he reversed and went around her and left. I did check, I did verify the front of his vehicle everywhere, and I could not find a single piece of damage to the vehicle. His vehicle is a Jeep, which is very high center of gravity, which would make it consistent with pretty much going over the rear bumper of the vehicle that was apparently rear-ended. So I didn't know if this was a case of a hit and run where crash privilege didn't apply and everything that he told me would apply, even though there's no witnesses. I did not charge him anything criminal regarding hit and run because I honestly think that there was no contact involved, but she did show me slight damage to her vehicle. So I did issue him the citation for the careless driving consistent with possibly a rear end scratch or collision, but I did not charge him with any hit and run.
I think the difficulty that I have is that I need her here to tell me that, and she's not here.
Yes, I understand that. I agree with that as well. I mean, I'm just saying that in the general sense, I don't think I submitted the witness list with her here, and I think that was my mistake. But I just wanted to clarify that first to see if you even think that this should go on and should be continued and request her or just be dismissed.
I think it should be dismissed.
Okay, that's up to you.
Thank you very much, Officer Gabriel.
Yep.
And everything you said is exactly how it happened. And thank you for your service again, and thank you, Your Honor.
I honestly think, Officer, based on what you've said, that even if I had her here, it just sounds to me like there's reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Yes.
It just feels like there's going to be a dispute between the two of them, and this isn't a civil matter where it's preponderance. More likely than not that it happened. This means that I have to have no doubt in my mind. And if everything you tell me is true, and that's what she was going to say to me, I'd still have doubt. That's why I'm inclined to dismiss it.
No problem, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel.
All right, thank you, sir.
Guys.
Thank you for waiting patiently, sir. All right, have a great day. We'll see you
Thank you.
again. Bye. All right, the next person that we have is, well, Mr. Jackson, let's call your last case. Marcel Rohan Richards, 20 TR 24993.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm showing I have two more.
Oh, you are?
Yes, but let's handle this Richards
Let's
case.
handle this one, and you can tell me which one I've missed, because maybe I did.
Roger that. Richards, this is a Trooper Waddell case. It's a crash. Once Trooper Waddell gets his audio connected, I'll ask him a question. Hey, Trooper.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you again. Do you have any witnesses in this case, or can you proceed alone?
I can try to proceed alone. No witnesses.
Okay. Your Honor, we'll proceed to a hearing.
All right, and for the record, this is 20 TR 24993. And Trooper, I need to get you sworn in. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir. So can you provide the court with information regarding I'm assuming it's Mr. Marcel Richards, and why you charged this gentleman with impeding flow, sir?
Yes, ma'am. So based on my crash investigation, Marcel Richards' 2002 Toyota Camry was westbound on I-75 in the outside lane, approaching mile marker 73. Vehicle 2 was a Ford pickup, which was westbound in the outside lane, approaching mile marker 73 as well, behind Richards' Toyota. Due to a flat tire, Richards' Toyota was traveling at approximately 10 miles per hour in the outside lane. Vehicle 2, which was the pickup, was unable to reduce speed enough in order to avoid striking Richards' Toyota. The older model Ford pickup attempted to go around Richards' Toyota on the outside paved shoulder to avoid a collision. The Ford pickup was unable to maneuver around Richards' slow-moving Toyota, and as a result, the front left bumper of VO2, which was the pickup, collided with the rear bumper of Richards' Toyota. Based on my investigation, I was able to confirm Richards' Toyota was in the outside lane and not on the shoulder with a flat tire, because the front of the truck, of the vehicle 2's truck, struck the guardrail approximately 15 feet west of the area of collision between the Camry and the Ford pickup. If the Camry was on the shoulder, traveling at 10 miles per hour on the shoulder, then the area of collision between the Ford pickup behind it and the Camry would be relatively a lot closer in reference to the guardrail damage that had occurred, rather than approximately 15 feet west of the initial area of collision between the two vehicles.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. If I may add, the tire on Richard's 2002 Toyota Camry, despite the crash, was still in decent shape besides the fact that it was flat, which leads me to continue investigating and come up with the fact that I don't believe that Richards was traveling at, say, excess of 50 or 60 miles per hour, because it would have done a lot more damage to the flat tire and the rim of the vehicle, which is why I concluded my investigation and cited Mr. Richards with impeding the flow of traffic by going approximately 10 miles per hour in the outside lane.
Okay. Mr. Todd?
Yes, afternoon to you, Trooper Waddell. You responded to this incident after the fact, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you conducted your investigation based off of observations made after the incident took place, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you a crash reconstructionist?
We get trained. I wouldn't say a crash Yes, in a sense, yes. We are. Okay. We are trained to reconstruct crashes.
Well, I understand you have everybody that graduates the FHP Academy has a basic understanding of crash investigations, but have you gone to receive any additional school, like the 2-week crash reconstructionist school, and do all the trigonometry and, yaw measurements and such?
No, sir. No additional training.
Okay. Now, in your course of this investigation, I know you testified that you made observations based off of damage to the guardrail and damage or lack thereof to the flat tire rim. Did you take any measurements of any skid marks or yaw marks or at the scene?
No, I did not take any measurements of those.
Okay, so you didn't conduct any mathematical calculations that would more clearly ascertain the speed of either vehicle involved in this collision?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And your testimony revealed, and I'm just making sure I understand you correctly, Trooper, part of your conclusion that the vehicle was operating slowly was because it had a flat tire and it couldn't drive any faster than that?
It had a flat tire, but the proper way to address the flat tire would be to pull onto the shoulder. And through my investigation, I was able to see that the driver was still driving on the roadway with his flat tire. Due to the way that the tire was still put together pretty well, despite it being flat, also concluded my investigation with the fact that he must not have been driving at least 50 miles per hour with his flat tire, because a lot more damage would have been done.
Okay.
So I know, based on my investigation, that he was driving substantially lower than the required 50 miles per hour on the interstate, and through the area of collision with the guardrail, as well as the rear right bumper of the 2002 Toyota Camry and the front left bumper of the Ford F-150, that the collision occurred on the roadway and not on the paved shoulder.
Okay, did you identify Mr. Richards at the scene?
Yeah, I did identify Mr. Richards at the scene through his driver's license, and then he was transported to the hospital.
Okay. Where was he when you first came into contact with him?
He was with EMS, speaking with EMS. Then they released him for approximately 1 minute. He retrieved a few items from his vehicle and then went back with them to get transported to the hospital.
Okay. Thank you, Trooper. No other questions.
Trooper, I have a question. Were either of the individuals in the other two vehicles injured seriously?
No serious injury. It could have been worse, but no serious injury from my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Todd?
Your Honor, I would move to dismiss at this time. The state has charged my client with violation of 316-183 subparagraph 5, which states no person shall drive a motor vehicle at such a slow speed as to impede or block the normal and reasonable movement of traffic, except when reduced speed is necessary for safe operation or in compliance with the law. The state has not met its burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. The state was not a firsthand witness as to the rate of speed my client was driving the motor vehicle, and has attempted only to draw conclusions based off of other observations which are not necessarily to have occurred. What I mean is the conclusion is not necessarily true. Also, the state has introduced evidence that the tire was flat, and even assuming that's the case, it would be unsafe to operate the vehicle any faster than it was being operated. And we would maintain that that reduced speed is necessary for safe operation and thus compliant with the statute. Therefore, we move to dismiss.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. Okay, so I struggle with this one a little bit because I do believe, Trooper, that as part of your job that you're required to make these findings and obviously to write up your report and indicate why you made those findings. My difficulty with being a traffic court judge is I think that the best evidence as to the behavior from the defendant would have come from one or both of the individuals that were involved in the incident, and I don't have anybody else here to confirm it. And I just don't feel comfortable with having evidence that in fact this individual was driving unsafe without at least having one of the drivers of the other vehicle present to say, this gentleman was driving on the road, he was going 5 miles an hour, and he was in such a manner that caused us to be unable to brake, and we hit him as a result. So for that reason, the court is going to dismiss the citation. I do appreciate you being here today, Trooper, and I do respect your opinion on this. It's just for the purpose of proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. I really think that I would have needed to hear from somebody who was actually driving on the roadway, saw the driving of this individual and said, this is what happened. And I just am not quite there with your testimony. Okay? All right.
Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Todd, who do you think you also have?
Case number 20TR19034.
What's the name?
Elise Morandi is the last name, Morande.
I don't see her. Do you see her, Amanda? Elise Morandi? What was the number? 20TR what?
19034.
TR 19034?
Correct.
All right. Elise Morandi says dismissed.
It sounds like I need.
Officer dismissed. Cancel traffic 217 due to case disposed. Oh, officer dismissed. Okay.
Okay, I apologize, Your Honor. I didn't update my notes.
Okay. It looks like it was dismissed, and was granted, and I don't even see a judge's signature on it. How does that happen? Amanda, I see this order on 2221, but no judge's signature that I see.
I don't see it either.
But it looks like it was dismissed. All right, well, I'm going to announce it on the record that it's dismissed so that I don't find out that I have to go back to my office and write up my own order on it, which honestly, now that it's 5 o'clock, I just am not doing anything else today once I get through the rest of these. All right, so that is your last case, Mr. Todd. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we also have Abraham Alvarez Quadrillo, 20 TR 21415. Also Trooper Waddell, 127 to 70. Is Attorney Rainey here? It should be Alexander Barrett Rainey is the name of the attorney. Yes?
If I may, I believe that this was this case was addressed earlier in the day, probably around 1:45 p.m.
Did I take care of it? I just don't remember.
Yes, ma'am. It was 127. I think you stated that it was an outrageous speed, so there was something happened. I forget exactly what it was, but I believe this was already addressed.
Okay. Amanda, I already took care of this one. I obviously didn't, I've been going through and crossing them all off as they go, and I must have missed that one. So I already took care of that one? Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. Then the next one we have is Francesca Paz, 20 TR 22569, 108 and a 70. Attorney Menendez?
Yeah, sure. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
I don't think I'm ever going to get any clients with a V anymore for a last name.
With the P? Well, I honestly, I think what happened here is I grouped them by attorney and I grouped them by officer. And this officer was one of the ones who had 5 or 6 cases where I had a lot of other officers today who only had 1 or 2. So I was doing my best with this monster docket to try to figure out a way to organize it in such a way that I could try to, stop the pain for some people. But as we got longer in the day, I'm sure you're kind of going, oh, you're never going to get to my case. And you're still not the last one, though, by the way. So what are we doing with this case, sir? Are we having a hearing?
Is the officer ready?
Yes, he's ready. He's right there.
I didn't hear him. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
If I may, I'm ready with the condition. I never received a subpoena for this case until I saw it on the judge's spreadsheet sent out. So I decided I better look into it. This was actually a vehicle that was clocked using Robic Stopwatch 1 Foxtrot Alpha, which is via aircraft. The aircraft pilot who clocked the vehicle is not here today, possibly because I never received a subpoena either for it. I can try to testify, but I'd like a continuance if possible, because I never clocked that vehicle.
I understand.
Okay. Let's look at his driving record. Is there any resolution that we could have in this case, gentlemen? And I know it's a high speed. It's 38 over, but the only thing that I've got on his driving record is 1 other speed, even though it was this year. I'd be inclined to hit him with a heavier fine and order him to do some, maybe a hefty school so that I don't make you guys wait 3 more hours next time, if that would be an acceptable resolution. I'm happy to continue it, but I'm also happy to try and resolve it today to not make you guys both come back if that works for you guys.
It does. If we can get a withhold, that'd be great.
And I'd order him to do a 12-hour school.
Okay, that works, Your Honor.
Would that work for you, officer?
Yes, Your Honor. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. I mean, if he had a terrible driving record, or she, I'm sorry, I probably would say no, but also in light of the fact that we're continuing it, and you both know that these dockets now are taking 3-4 hours, and she doesn't have a terrible record, it just makes sense to try and resolve it. So it would be a $250 fine plus court cost, 12-hour school, and I will withhold the points.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. There we go. We got 1 more off the books today. All right, I have 1 more. Jaslyn Cintron, 20 TR 17496. Ms. Cintron, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Cintron, you're charged with 94 and a 70. Are you planning to have a hearing today, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Okay. Have you both raised your right hand and be sworn? You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. So, officer, will you please tell the court why it is that you cited Ms. Cintron, 94 and a 70, and the facts and circumstances surrounding that citation, please?
On August 2nd, 2020, at approximately 6:24 p.m., I, Trooper Waddell, was operating moving radar towards westbound traffic near mile marker 98. I observed a newer model gray Jeep traveling at an extremely high rate of speed. I visually estimated this vehicle to be traveling at 95 miles per hour. I activated my stalker dual radar and confirmed a speed of 94 miles per hour through clear audio Doppler tone as well as visual display. I activated my emergency equipment and initiated a traffic stop on this gray Jeep with Florida tag 7574PT. I identified the driver to be Jocelyn Belen Cintron from Fort Myers, Florida, through Florida driver's license. It was a clear day and all events occurred in Collier County, Florida.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Cintron, what would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
I actually remember that day pretty well. It was during the time that the tropical storm Isaias was passing through the Miami and Alligator Alley portion of Florida. I had actually decided to drive later that day since I was traveling back home from Doral, Florida. And so that's why I was there later throughout the day. As Mr. Waddell stated, he was going westbound and I was actually going eastbound. He did not state that in his, when he was just talking. It is on my ticket, however, that I was going eastbound. And at the time he had hit his lights and hit a U-turn to go through. However, it wasn't a clear day, as I had stated that there was a tropical storm and the roads were wet because it was raining earlier in the day. I drive a Jeep and it has 35-inch tires. It's really big. So in order to be driving, I wouldn't be able to drive my Jeep in those conditions. I'm not sure if you know what a Jeep wobble is, but it makes the Jeep unstable at higher speeds as well, because my bigger tires, it makes it difficult to do that. That and because the conditions prior.
So are you saying that you weren't speeding at all or that you think you weren't going 94?
If I were to have been speeding, I wouldn't be able to go 94.
Do you know how fast you were going that day? Because the speed limit is clearly 70 miles per hour. So can you tell the court what speed you were going with any specificity?
I know that my Jeep, the maximum speed that I can go, I drive a stick shift Jeep and I was in 6th gear at the time. The max my Jeep can hold in overdrive is 80 miles per hour. That is the fastest that my Jeep can go for. Yeah.
So your Jeep that you're driving won't go more than 80 miles per hour ever?
Ever. In stick shift, there's a few different reasons as to why that is. The bigger tires that I have on there, they're mud tires. So if I were to go past that, it creates a wobble I wouldn't be able to control the vehicle. And then just the roads were wet at that time.
I think respectfully, Ms. Cintron, the only way I'd be able to find that is if you had a mechanic who came in and said it would be physically impossible for your Jeep to go over 80 miles per hour. Do you want me to continue your hearing so that you can bring a mechanic in? Because in all honesty, it's very hard for me to believe that a vehicle doesn't go more than 80 miles per hour ever without having a mechanic say this Jeep, it is unable to go more than 80 miles per hour because of the way that the Jeep is structured. It wouldn't be sufficient for me without a mechanic saying they looked at your car, they've driven your car, and even with the foot all the way to the ground, this car does not go more than 80 miles per hour under any circumstance.
I would do that, and because I know it is true. However, I'm in the process of joining Marines, and so I was listening to all your other availabilities, and that's in April, and I have to get this cleared up because in April is when I get told when I'm leaving. So I can't have anything outstanding during that time.
All right. Well, with that Without any testimony from a mechanic, the court just doesn't find it believable that a car is unable to go over 80 miles per hour despite your testimony. However, you have a perfectly clean driving record. And with a perfectly clean driving record, it is a $175 fine plus court costs, and the court will withhold the points, which means you won't have the points on your license, which will help you. But I also am finding that you were speeding. Okay? And I can give you up to 90 days to pay. How much time would you like?
The 90 days, please.
All right, I'll give you the 90 days. So lesson learned, next time if you have an issue like this, you definitely need to bring your mechanic in, because it's hard for the court to believe that your car won't go over 80. It just is, because.
That's no problem.
Okay, I mean, you might be telling me the total truth, but I just need somebody to come in and tell me that. And to tell you the truth, if you have a car that doesn't go over 80 on I-75 with the traffic that I see late afternoon, you might be causing a danger to yourself when you have a car that doesn't go past 80, because there's going to be cars whizzing by you, and that makes it a little dangerous too. So I don't condone speeding on I-75, but when you've got vehicles that are going in excess of the speed limit and one that can't even get up to 80, that might cause a problem for you in that car. So,
yes, ma'am.
All righty. And I think that's your last case. Am I right, officer?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe so.
Thank you for waiting patiently all day. I know it's been a long day. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I think that's everybody. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Did I get everybody?
Yeah, I don't have anyone else.
Good. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
You too.
All right, I will see you soon. Thank you for staying late today. It wasn't super late.